Alright, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. I like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And today I just want to go into this article, that came out just a couple hours ago. And it's from the CNN, and it says North Korea says it tested a new solid fuel ICBM. So I'm just going to read this article, and bring out a couple scriptures. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and straight to the point. And it says North Korea said it launched a new solid fuel Hwasong 18 intercontinental ballistic missile ICBM on Thursday local time, according to state media KCNA on Friday. Leader Kim Jong-un guided the first test launch of the new ICBM, and the launch had no negative impact to the safety of the neighboring countries, per KCNA. The missile also did a stage separation, it said. Solid fuel ICBMs are the state-of-the-art world standard and can be moved more easily and launched quicker than a liquid fuel rocket. The United States' main ICBM, the Minuteman III, is powered by 3 solid fuel rocket motors. The Hwasong 18 will defend North Korea, suppress invasions, and protect the safety of the nation, KCNA said, saying Kim expressed great satisfaction over the achievement of the test launch. Jeffrey Lewis, an analyst at the James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies, said on Twitter that it was no surprise a solid-fueled ICBM tested by North Korea, saying it's just easier to use solid-fueled missiles. North Korea was always going to follow the same technical path as the U.S., Soviet Union, France, China, Israel, and India, he added. Given that North Korea has been testing large diameter solid rocket motors for several years, it's been clear, to me at least, that since 2020 a test like this could have come at any time. The Thursday launch by North Korea sparked momentary panic on the Japanese northern island of Hokkaido after the government's emergency alert system warned residents to take cover. Soon after, fear turned into anger and confusion as the evacuation order was lifted amid reports that it had been sent in error, with local officials saying there was no possibility of the missile hitting the island, and Tokyo later confirming that it had fallen outside Japanese territory in waters off the east coast of the Korean Peninsula. The South Korean military said at the time that it believed Pyongyang was testing a new ballistic missile, which had showcased in a military parade, according to a military official. And yes, this is pretty much, again, what is happening, North Korea, they're testing their missiles, they're getting their sword ready, for World War III. These nations are getting ready, to, destroy America. And North Korea is just one of those countries. So I'm going to start in the book of Isaiah chapter 54 and 16. And it says, Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. And yes, it's talking about those ICBM missiles, and basically, that's what it described, in this article. North Korea developed a new missile that doesn't use, regular liquid fuel. It uses solid fuel, so it'll be able to, travel, a much longer distance. So I'm going to go to the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 6, and it says, And ye shall hear of wars, and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yes and yes. That's what's happening. We're still hearing of wars and rumors of war because World War III, is still on the horizon. It's inevitable. It's going to happen because America must be destroyed. It's the book of Joel, chapter 3, and verse 10. Slack you. I'm going to start at verse 9. It's the book of Joel, chapter 3, and verse 9. It says, Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And yes, that's pretty much what these other nations are doing. Because at one point in time, America was the most feared nation, on the planet because of the technology that it had at the time, during World War II. When America bombed Japan with, Fat Man, the little boy, those hydrogen bombs, But ultimately, as the years progressed, these other nations started developing their own missiles, such as, Russia, for example, they developed the Tsar bomber. Their technology has, gotten more advanced since then, But that's pretty much what these nations are doing. They're saying they're strong too. They have, missiles as well. There's the book of Job, chapter 39. And 23, and it says, The quiver rattleth against him, the glittering spear and the shield. And yes, that glittering spear again is going into those missiles. Let me just make sure I have the right. Yes, ultimately, that's what the glittering spear is, those missiles. But in the book of Job, chapter 20 and verse 24. It's lucky that's what I was looking for. The book of Job, chapter 20 and verse 24, and it says, He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn and cometh out of the body. Yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. And yes, that iron weapon, that bow of steel, that glittering sword is going into those missiles, because that's what they're going to look like, Ultimately, they're going to look like stars falling upon the earth because they're going to travel outside the atmosphere and come back down to earth. It's like on fire. So I'm going to go to the book of Revelation, chapter 9. I'm going to start at verse 15. Revelation 9 and 15, and it says, And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which is issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And yes, again, it's describing those missiles when they get launched, because it's going to have that rocket system. And as it said in the article, they're developing solid fuel rocket systems for these missiles, so they're going to be able to travel longer distances. They're going to be able to travel faster, without traditional, liquid fuel. It's the book of Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5, and it says, For every battle of the warrior has fought with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. And yes, the wars of old, were pretty much fought, hand-to-hand combat, swords, swords, spears, shields, bow and arrows, things of that nature. But ultimately, this war is going to be fought with thermonuclear missiles, burning and fuel of fire, That's what's going to happen. So coming back to the book of Revelation, I'm going to go to the book of Revelation chapter 17. And I'm going to start at verse 16, and it says, And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And yes, that whore is going into America. America is Babylon the Great. She is that great whore that is going to be burned. Excuse me. Those 10 horns, those are the 10 nations that are a part of the beast. But ultimately, even America's allies, they're going to turn on her. They're going to shoot their missiles, and burn her. So going to the book of Revelation, chapter 18. The whole chapter is good. I'm just going to start at verse 4 Revelation 18 and verse 4, and it says, "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she hath reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works, and the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord Yahweh who judgeth her." And yes, that's ultimately what is going to happen. America is going to be destroyed by way of these ICBM missiles, because it is written that Babylon the Great is going to be destroyed. So I'm going to read a couple more verses and I'm going to close out. And then you see the headline reads, Lament for Babylon. Verse 9, and it says, "And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off, for fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come." And yes, that's all it's going to take the Lord, to completely destroy America, 1 hour. Because when, the Heavenly Father sends our Lord Yahweh Shai back, he's coming to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel, and simultaneously destroy America and take down these other nations, starting with Esau, Edom, So that's pretty much it, just pretty much, another, just another video going into war, because that's pretty much what's on the horizon. World War III is on the way, but we're still waiting patiently, for that to take place. But before the destruction could come, the prophecy of the mark of the beast, being made mandatory, still has to come to pass. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Makakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from, and I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. Till the next time I say Shalom.